Hey, we are back, and that is a fact. How's it going, everybody? I'm here today to talk about Pokemon Silver. The first time I ever played this game. Now, a brief history of my play with Pokemon games is I started out, like most children my age, playing Pokemon Red, and I very much enjoyed Pokemon Red, but, I didn't get too much into it as compared to, like, everybody else, but I still really enjoyed it. So now as a 32-year-old man, I went into Gen 2, not entirely blind, because I had played Heart Gold, but Heart Gold has mechanics from Gen 3, I believe. And Gen 2, although a vast improvement on the formula from Gen 1, is still vastly different from Gen 3 mechanics. And that being said, although I still enjoyed this game, I will have to say overall, this probably is my least favorite generation. For context, I have played, so far now, Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4, and Gen 5. Yeah, Gen 5, which I really did enjoy, Gen 5, which is Pokemon Black, I believe. Gen 2 is definitely the weakest for me, and I'm going to go over why that is, but let's talk about the Pokemon I used on my team first, alright? Now, from the general talk I get from like Pokemon fans, the early generations suffer from not having enough fire types in the early game, especially like when they're needed. Because like an early gym leader who uses a grass type Pokemon or a bug type or just having fire is like usually a good idea on your team. So I went with Cyndaquil, who eventually evolves into Typhlosion, as my starter. And although I don't like him as much as Charizard, I have heard talk that he is slightly better than Charizard because he doesn't have the flying type, and the flying type doesn't really do much for Charizard. And I could see that. I could be completely wrong in that regard, but I really did enjoy Typhlosion as a starter. He did exactly what I needed him to do throughout the whole game, and he was useful the whole game. I tried Quagsire because a friend of mine from when I was growing up always told me that Quagsire was a really good pick. Which typically I always ran Gyarados as my water pick whenever I could, because Gyarados is a fucking host. And I've also come to learn with like my experience with Pokemon that ground and water is an exceptionally good typing to have together. Electric is like very strong against water, and just having that immunity just makes water types like so good. So I'm always keeping an eye out when I play a Pokemon game for a water and ground type, especially if I know that there's going to be an electric boss sometime. So Typhlosion, Quagsire, and Ampharos. Ampharos is one I also ran on Heart Gold, and I actually really liked him as an electric type. And he served well here too, honestly. I taught him Dynamic Punch, and I think that was kind of a bad idea. I didn't like Dynamic Punch too much. I'm starting to learn that like even though a move is powerful, you should really be paying attention to the accuracy of the move. And Dynamic Punch hits like a truck, but it misses a lot. And honestly, you'd rather just go with something that hits good, but hits more often. And then Weeping Bell, I have a soft spot for the Grass Poison archetype. Which, let's be honest, I never tried Weeping Bell before, and I really wanted to give him a shot, and he's probably the weakest Grass Poison of the bunch. Like, I think Vileplume, Venusaur are just better, honestly. But, I gave him a shot, and he was fine for what he was. Like, put my opponent to sleep, do some Giga Drains and, poison people when I need to. He served his purpose, but overall, he was kind of underwhelming. And then I also tried Onix, and I wanted to get a Steelix, but I didn't I didn't hack the game in order to get a Steelix, which I kind of wish I did because I've never really played Steelix and he looks really cool. Onyx was fine. The rock ground typing isn't a great typing because like you're bulky, but you have so many weaknesses. So it's like you're a tank, but you're not really a tank because like just there's so much that kills you throughout the game. And Onyx was underwhelming. I think he would. I don't think. Like I know he would have been so much better as a Steelix, so much better, but. Maybe on some other game we'll try out a Steelix, and obviously I couldn't trade. I was playing by myself. And then last and certainly not least is I caught the legendary Lugia. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Which, I mean, obviously it's a legendary. It's going to be powerful. Like, it was really, really good and carried me through the Elite Four and then eventually through Kanto. Not much to say there. Just really, really powerful Pokemon. Psychic Flying was a really awesome typing. And yeah, overall, definitely the MVPs was Lugia and Typhlosion and Quagsire. Yeah. And overall, the Pokemon game, it was fine. It's just I found it like incredibly easy, and like you can kind of fix that with like a Nuzlocke, a hardcore Nuzlocke, or of some variation, and that's fine. I know these games are marketed towards children, and they're coming from a 32-year-old. Sometimes I just wish that Pokemon had a hard mode. I really do. And I'm always reminded of that every time I play a baseline Pokemon game. But there are ROM hacks that can like scratch that itch for you. Things like Emerald Kaizo, Radical Red, and various others. And that was one that I didn't particularly... This game was pretty easy. I didn't over-level really at all. I tried to go into gyms like at the same level, and I know like in some of the footage I was a little bit higher on like Chuck and stuff, but I really did try to go into gyms relatively the same level. But the characters and story is something I want to touch on. There isn't really much to go on. Again, this is an early Pokemon game. The fundamental story is you're a kid from a town who wants to be a Pokemon master, and some professor sends you on a journey to like catch Pokemon and increase your Pokedex. And then you have a rival, and the rival is a little different as compared to the first game. The rival is this red-haired dude who has this like God complex, kind of. Well, I shouldn't say God complex. He's just very full of himself and thinks he's the best, and doesn't. I found that kind of funny and ironic that he treat his Pokemon very well, but like I don't think anybody really treats their Pokemon really well. Pokemon seem to be like a second class citizens in this game, which I don't know if that's like a correct like evaluation of it, but Pokemon definitely are. They're forced to fight each other like gladiators, and they don't fight to the death, obviously. But I just found it kind of weird how like I don't feel like I'm treating my Pokemon much better, or like at least like maybe like a cutscene where like your Pokemon gets hurt and then you like take care of them, like and that could have showed the differences between you and your rival, but that's fine, it's whatever. The story overall just wasn't very deep. I don't think it's meant to be deep, so I'm not gonna like hold that too much against it. But one thing I thought was really cool, was really, really, really cool about this game is like when you beat the Elite Four, you then can go back to Kanto and fight 8 more gym leaders from the original game, from Red, Blue, and Yellow. And I this was fascinating. This was so fascinating. I loved this. This is as far as I know, this is the only game that does that. And it made it feel like you were playing 2 games. And I love that so much. The fights aren't particularly hard, but just the concept alone was just so cool. And then you fight a lot of familiar faces like Lieutenant Surge and Erica and Brock, and that was awesome. That was so awesome. And then like just the last fight, which I won't get into who it is. Most people probably know at this point. This is a very old game. But the last fight was really epic. I loved it so much. And that alone was like a very high point for this game. Very high point. Man, if every Pokemon game included that, where like you go back to like you don't have to go back to every region, but like just go back to the previous game's region. Or actually, a Pokemon game where like you went to every region and had to collect every gym badge. That actually sounds really cool. You just become like the ultimate Pokemon master. I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, it would probably make for a very long game, but I digress. That's definitely the high point. Another thing I kind of wanted to touch on, and I feel like in my initial rating of this game, the evaluation of this game, I was kind of unfair in this point because this game to me felt like Gen 1 but with some DLC characters. And what I mean by that is this game only has like at least at the beginning only a few extra like Gen 2 Pokemon. Like obviously you have new starters and then you have like some sprinkled throughout the whole gameplay, but overall a lot of the Pokemon you see are the same ones you would have seen in the previous generation until you get to sort of the end game / post game when you go back to Kanto. That's when you can catch Pokemon like Houndoom and Tyranitar and countless others. But I didn't like that very much because I feel like and this is coming from a non I don't love Pokemon too much, but personally for me, the excitement of a new generation is in large part to the new Pokemon, possibly the new mechanics, the new moves and stuff, and I just found it very like deflating when I went into Pokemon Silver and I was for most of the game just playing the same Pokemon that I had the previous generation, and that kind of left a sour taste in my mouth, Other things to touch on. I believe they added the Dark archetype to this. Yeah, which makes sense because they added Houndoom, and I think No, it's not Houndoom. I think Murkrow is the first like Dark type, and Dark type was such a needed thing in the Pokemon games, especially early on, because Psychic was so overpowered. Like, I'm pretty sure if you just caught an Abra and hell, you didn't even have to level up the Abra to an Alakazam, you could just like solo the game with a Kadabra, and he was just that good, just that good. Which you can do with a lot of Pokemon, especially if you over-level, but like I don't even think you would have to over-level that Kadabra. I think you would just have to like make sure it learns Psychic, maybe like Recover. Oh yeah, the fact that it has learns Recover just makes it really good. And it's like just super fast and it hits like a truck. It's just it's absurd. It's absurd. So I think adding the Dark type really and also making it to where like most Pokemon learn a dark move, whether it be like Bite or whatever, or Crunch, was definitely a smart move on their part. Definitely a smart move. Another thing I kind of wanted to touch on, and I don't know if it was because I was running this on my computer or not, but like I did have an issue with actually going to Kanto. When I got to the Elite Four after Victory Road, I wasn't able to fly anywhere with Lugia, yeah. I wasn't able to fly anywhere with my designated flying Pokemon, and I felt like very stuck. And I don't know why that was the case. I need to look up if that's like a common glitch or not. That felt like it fundamentally broke the game, and I wasn't too big of a fan of that, like, at all. The red Gyarados was cool. I kind of wish that I had run Gyarados on my team just so I could run the shiny Gyarados. I've never really ran a shiny on my team ever in a Pokemon game. I don't think besides the red Gyarados I've ever caught a shiny. I might have when I played Radical Red, but that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, overall, I did like Pokemon Silver. It is the weakest to me in the franchise. But that being said, I still really enjoyed this game. I still really enjoy it. Like, I just like RPGs. I love turn-based RPGs. I love the weakness mechanics. I love the different strategies, the different abilities that each Pokemon has. I'm in love with this series, and I can't wait to continue. I can't wait to eventually get a Switch and play more of it. Play the newers, like Sun and Moon, X and Y, Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet. I'm very, very excited to see how this, where this series goes. I know people have criticisms of the series, but overall, I'm very, very, very excited. Now, my next video, which I'm hoping to get to soon. I'm working a lot of overtime, trying to save for a good vacation for me and my wife, but my next video is either going to be Brotato, which is a PC game, a roguelike on on Steam, which I've been really enjoying, or I'm going to cover the Spyro Reignited trilogy. Not too sure yet, and I'll be trying to get those out within the next week or two. But thank you so much for listening. I appreciate your guys' time, and this has been Vay, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye.